Alright, so we'll start with the B'Shuta Tzibur. So I hope it's okay. I hope that this works out because my whatever you'll see. It's not, some of you maybe some of you accuse me of not being Lanyan, but I think it is. As we take a look, I'll show you what we're about to do. We're going to take a look at start over with Parashat Shiur about the bridge. We're going to get to certain inyanim of Shabbos and Mila a little bit and say why am I talking about that, but I think it'll be clear. And then we're going to bring it back to the B'Yas Olam. Hopefully it'll be a nice year. Nothing comparable to the depth of Ramos, but B'Ezrat Hashem, and hopefully also some nice source of reconciliation. In any case, so we have here Parashat Shavua and next week's Parasha. One word that comes up many times is the idea of Brit that comes in this week's Parasha, Parashat Kitavo. So as you have over here in the beginning, in source 1, 2, Eile Divrei HaBrit Asher Tzira Hashem et Moshe. This is the very, very end. It's Pasuk Samach Tet. It's the very, very end of the whole Parashat Tocha. Fine, these are the words of the Brit that Hashem made a Kitab Brit with us. And it says the Brit again in the Pasuk. V'vad HaBrit Asher Krat Tzab Chorev. So we have this covenant with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Now, the covenant at this point is driven in by the Toicha, all the terrible stuff that can happen if we're not good. And the cloud, to keep in mind, Parashat Shavua, if we're bad, then we get punished and all the terrible things will happen. So that's a good thought to keep in mind. And if nothing else, be good and things with Hashem, because we're will look out for us. More on the national level than necessarily the personal level. And again, at the end of the parasha, keep the Brit. This is the Brit. At the end of the parasha, keep the Brit, and that's very important. And that's Parashat Kitavo. We know that Parashat Kitavo is always read. The Gemara says before Hashana to Chlesh Shana V'Kilotah. And maybe one of the ideas is that if we take Parashat Kitavo and we inculcate it, then Tzich Lashana V'Vet will take the message and will be very improved, and all the bad things won't happen. Now, Parashat Nitzavim, which we have next week, Parashat Nitzavim is always right before Hashana. Either with Vayelach or whatever it is, we have Parashat Nitzavim the week after, which is this year, Mamish, within a breath of Rosh Hashanah. With Shabbos, then just one day in the middle, and then Rosh Hashanah is Sunday night already. We know, first of the Parashat starts with Atem Nitzavim Hayom. Number 2 over here, now in Parashat Nitzavim, there's a remez. As you guys probably heard, Atem Nitzavim Hayom, when it says Hayom, it means Rosh Hashanah. So, of course, the date of when Moses gave this speech to Klal Yisrael, of course, was not on Rosh Hashanah. Okay, it was very shortly before he passed away in Adar. But there's a remez here. Tatem Tzim Yom Rosh Hashanah, Kulchem V'Hem Shem Keichem. The whole nation is there together, and charge of Mishpatim is relevant, especially relevant to Rosh Hashanah. In any case, the concept of bris comes up again and again in Parashat Nitzavim. As I say, it's not so profound to me what I did. I just looked through and saw where it talks about bris. That's the Kol Pesukim later. Uva Alato. Now the Allah is, of course, the curse if we're not good. We go through the bris, and the Pasuk Gimel, the bris is not for you, this generation, it's for all generations. And so forth. And so the next Pasuk, doesn't have bris, it has Allah. The Allah is the commitment that we have, so we're not the curse won't happen. As also in Pasuk Chaf, called the Real Allah Bris. And in Pasuk Chavdal, it's not bolded out, but here is also the Amr Asher Azvus. This is when things are really bad. Yafas Melech, all the bad stuff. Amru, Ash'al, Asher, Azvu, Et Brit, Hashem, Ukei Avotam, Shekrat, Imam, B'Tzilatam, Mitzrayim. So the Brit is there. The Brit started last week, or not last week, this week. For us, not week to come. The Brit started last week if you were in Nitzavim, with the Tochacha. And when things actually happen, and there's destruction, they say, well, you didn't keep the bris. Okay. So I'd like to focus on something that maybe you say is very obvious, but might drive me crazy about. But if we want to say where does the bris, I would say, express, where is the brit where the Kodesh Baruch Hu most actively expressed? So let's look at the Chumash, and we know that brit is found with specifically in terms of Maaseh Mitzvah, things that we do on Shabbat and in Nila. And we're going to take a look first. What I order again, I'll take first the Milah and Shabbat, and I have more to say about Shabbat than about Milah, and you'll see what I mean, and especially bringing back Bris Oil. In any case, we know, and nothing so it's just Shiur either. We know, as the Gemara says, that bris, we know bris means a bris. That's what it's called. When you're having a bris. Okay? And the Chumash tells us, number 4 over here, time and again you say, I don't have to read it so much to you, this idea is going to be a brit between you and your children. And again, Hashem says, keep this brit. What's the brit? So you have the idea, this is the covenant, there is a covenant between us. What is the symbol of the covenant? It is here it's the bris milah. And we have this concept of oath. So you have oath, brit. Oath, brit. Brit is the covenant, the oath is what the symbol of what we see of the bris. And it says again and again, bris, bris, bris. You have to have. The bris will be in our physical bodies, and if someone doesn't have a milah, doesn't circumcise, so he's violating the bris. He must as b'sefar. And of course, in Shabbos we also have the same thing. We say in the Shamru, okay, bris olam, and we know the next pasuk. And all that stuff. So we have the bris, it's a bris olam, and a few psukim before that also in Yakel. So you have again and again more than other places. You don't have by eating kosher. It's not an os, it's not a bris. You don't have by other stuff, even though they're very central to what we do. You don't have the phrases of oath, brit, oath. It's here in Shabbat and in Milah. And what's interesting is, in both of these mitzvot, there is an intensified kedusha to the person with this mitzvah. In other words, somehow the kedusha is of course, if a child never gets a bris milah, he's Jewish. Okay, he's Jewish. There's a big controversy, and you guys remember this from the time of Chaim Soloveitchik. There were people who decided they're very modern, reform, whatever it is, we're not going to do a bris. So people said, we all do, we don't circumcise our kids. And they came out, and a lot of the Rabbanim wanted to say, fine, you don't circumcise your kid, you're not going to be buried, you're going to be registered, you're going to be buried in the Jewish cemetery, all that kind of stuff. And Chaim said, ridiculous. You have to follow the halacha. The Jewish, the Jewish. However, there is a higher level of Kedushas Yisrael if someone's Jewish. And it comes out, if you look, for example, in number 5, there are many sources for this, but if someone's an Orel, he is prevented from doing many mitzvahs. Okay? Certainly, you can't bring Korn Pesach, you need the Korn Pesach, you can't do the Avodah, and many things like that. And for example, there's one example here in the Rambam, with this Mikdash, number 5, Ha'orel will be Ben Nechar. What's Ben Nechar? Ben Nechar, he's a Nachar. Right? He's like a Ben Nechar. Shenemar kol Ben Nechar Orel Leiv Orel Basel. Fich Orel She'avad Chil Avodah V'loke Kizar She'avad. The Kohen who's an Orel, he's missing something. The fact when he gets the bris milah, his Kedushas Yisrael is more completed. It's completed. Okay. When it comes to Shabbos, we have a very interesting din. The Gemara Chol mentioned this on Daf Hey.
Which is also this mitzvah also encompassing mitzvah. I mean, other than just like you were saying, you sing it in a whole thing. It's also without doing that, you can't do other mitzvahs. I mean, you're not
correct.
Which affects that bigger effect.
The neighbors other mitzvahs.
Yeah,
I suppose right. After Shabbos, it's not going to be that way, but that's correct. That's for sure correct. So that's showing. It's just showing you help.
How important?
Yeah, they're good. Thank you. Sure.
Always.
Okay. And when it comes to Shabbat, we see that Shabbat also enhances our Kedusha. And an example, this Salvation brings is one of the Yortzeit Shiur of his father on Kiddush. And he points out, if you look at, for example, number 6, not number 6. If you look at If you look at number 10. We'll go jump a little bit out of order, I apologize. Okay, it's hard to flip the page over. Shabbat, Avodah Zarah, Kol Achad Mishlein Shkula K'neged Kol Shar Mitzvot. Shabbos and Avodah Zarah are both have the weight of other mitzvahs. But Shabbat, Hi Ha'od, Shebein Kosh Baruch Hu Beinu U'Beinenu L'Olam. Shabbat is an oath for us. It's an oath. It's so tragic, and as I was preparing the Shiur, thinking about this, it's so tragic that there's so many Jews that don't have this oath. It's so unnatural for the Jewish people to have a situation where, I don't want to say what percentage, I don't even know, where at least at least 5 or 10 Jews don't keep Shabbos.
So we should force them to keep Shabbos?
Well, that's for sure. I mean, yeah, that's it. Way to go. Okay. Listen, that's a heavy question, but to whatever extent possible, when we have the Sanhedrin and things are going, people are able to accept it as a basic rule, then for sure. To what extent should you force you, go around your neighbor in Zichron and chain Chali Shabbos up to a wall so they're not Chali Shabbos. Maybe a good idea, but you get arrested like they got today with the Bedouins, and it may not be so good in the long run. Okay, but for sure, this is not the topic of the Shiur, but the idea of Kol Yishar Reid Muzel Hazeh, the idea of the idea that we should strive to have all of Klal Yisrael doing mitzvah, for sure is a very important ideal. What's the smartest and best and the long term, the best way of doing it nowadays is not certainly not in the scope of I think to be an expert either.
A lot of people that I get in touch with, meetings, and I always meet a lot of Jews that aren't religious, but they appreciate. Meaning it might not be the same level, but it's so understandable. I don't even understand those that don't understand, Shabbat. Keeping Shabbat, not even necessarily halachically, but just that.
At least the concept. They relate to it very well.
Right, but it's something like Mechal Shabbos b'Farhes.
Oh, so I wanted to get to that. Very good. Okay, but that's correct. There's a certain level of Mechal Shabbos b'Farhes when it talks about is Kilo Avodah Zarah. There's something about publicly saying Shabbos. I don't want to say Shabbos is nothing. Shabbos. It's one thing if a person. So we recorded. I can't give this example. But I know that I give an example.
I stopped it.
Okay, I will give an example. Will you really stop?
No.
There's a time when dying out of no. Okay.
We'll check the tape.
I just know of let's say certain people that I used to know that lived across the street from the shul. And when they wanted to go someplace on Friday night, they parked a few blocks away, not to drive from in front of the big business. I'm sure, in other words, there's a certain basic respect or embarrassment. I think, and that's a certain madrega. But Mechal Shabbos b'Farhes is that's what we say. It's like you're saying, I don't want part, but this is an oath. I'm not interested in it. I don't want to get, and this is getting way beyond just the scope of what's going on now. Is that how do you relate to someone who was brought up with totally non-Shabbos observant parents? That's what you thing. How do you look, view him, and so forth. So that's another issue. But in terms of conceptually, there is such a concept of Chal Shabbos Farhesya, Shadinu Ka'akum. And he says, Chal Shabbos Farhesya, Ka'oved Zara, Ushneim Kigoyim Chol Dereim. It's a very strong language. L'fichad Mishubech Hanariv Amer, and this we know from Naftorah coming up in some Medallion and all the other times. Asher Enosh Asazot. When Adam Yachazik Ba, Shomer Shalom Echalo, Shon and so forth. And if you keep the Shabbos, you're managing the Shabbos, that's great. You get a great schar. As we say, that's fantastic. In any case, this idea can be driven home by a bracha that we have in each of these two mitzvahs. As you guys know, I assume you all had bris milah, so even if you're not married yet, you understand with yourself, or for your children, or you've been in a bris, there's this long bracha they say after the bris is over. Asher Kiddush Yigad, I put it over here more or less. In number 8. I'm not sure if this is the list that we have now, or it's an older version, because as where we got it from. So we say Asher Kiddush Yidid Beten, HaKadosh Baruch was Mekadosh Yidid. Who's Yidid? It's probably Yitzchok. B'chol B'shir Hasam, Tzedek Chasam Yos Kodesh. So Kodesh Baruch Hu sanctified us, and whatever it is, start with our bris of Yaakov, Avram, of course, still the anniversary was 99 years, so he's 8 years old, and all of the descendants, our bris of Yaakov, we have this Os Bris Kodesh, again, Ot Brit, and it's holy, Brit makes us holy. Hakeim B'schar Zeh Kel Chayitz Turim, and you remember this dramatic bracha. It's a beautiful thing over here. L'man Brito Sheshem T'Serenu. Emphasize that Zeh Hashem create that Brit. So you have Brit 3 times in this short bracha. Similarly, I have like Kiddush. Kiddush, we have a whole long bracha. It's not to say all Kiddush now. We'll say that tomorrow night. We say Baruch Shem Al-Chalam, Shek Shem Tzedek Tzedek Shabbat Tzedek Tzedek, beautiful stuff. And you've chosen us, Kidon B'Chaz, Kiddush V'Chalamim, Shabbat Tzedek Tzedek, and everything best. These brachas are unique. Usually you have like a brachas mitzvah, so it's on the Ma'aseh Mitzvah. Over here we have a bracha. So I brought a little bit of Gemara over here in the Tosos, number 9 over here. He brings down. This is even more extreme, and it's very obvious that Ashur Kiddush B'Din Zan brachas mitzvah. As you know, in the bris there are 2 brachas. It's the bracha of Al Hamilah, they usually the Moel makes, and then Sheva Kisov Yitoshim Rabinu, they usually the father makes. There's a big question: when do you make the bracha of Lachnisol? Do you make it before the brit or after the brit? And usually, all the bracha that's also that, and that's the Gemara here, Pesachim, that you make the brachas on Over Lastiatan. What does that mean? Before you do it. So, on the other hand, as it says over here, in the middle of the Sos over here, we say the bracha afterward. So he quotes first Rashba, the Rash Mishan says you should say it before the Milah. Many times I disagree. What are you talking about? He brings picture of Eliezer, Amal, the guy who says the Milah says, Milah, Avi Ben says Achniso. It sounds like it's after the bris. And there's a question is Al and Le, and that's the whole story also in the Gemara there. Which bracha start with Le and which bracha start with Al? Usually if it's over the last Siyatan, it's Le. Shema Kol Shefan. Anyway, but he says over here, look, if you look at the Lashon and look at the Tosfot here, he says, you're not making the bracha now about the mice you're doing now. It's a bracha of shevach and thanks to God on the Milah, Kishatav Liyado. In general, I bless Hashem to give you this great mitzvah. I say it now, look alone, why do I say it now? To show that this bris Milah, this bris that I'm doing is a real bris Milah Shem Shemayim. I'm not doing it for medical reasons, not doing it for locker room reasons. It used to be, nowadays maybe it's not so popular. Or it says in the place it's Shem Randa, all these other reasons that people do bris Milah, but that's very important. In comparison, here's Bris Erison, which according to Rebbe Tam will be done afterward. That's a whole other shiur. What's Bris Erison? Is the Bris Mitzvah? The Bris Shevach starts off like a Bris Mitzvah, fakes left, and ends up in Bris Shevach. Which way do we go by? We're knowing, of course, before, but some in town had done it after. You first gave the ring, and then you said the bracha. Okay? But the point is, both of these mitzvahs of Milah and Shabbos, through the Kiddush and through Asher Kiddush and Yudatan, these brachos express this Sheva and express this level, the level that we're reaching, that we're achieving, this elevated Kedusha in Shabbos, the Jews keep Shabbos, Judaism is an Elul Kedusha. This idea, I wrote down just number 11 over here, the Neshama Yisera, the Rav wrote down, and the thing, maybe that's the idea of Neshama Yisera, that you have this added Kedusha in Shabbat, and keeping Shabbat. Now we know on number 6, which I read before, is the Mitzvah of Kiddush. We're going to talk about the Mitzvah of Kiddush a bit, okay? The Mitzvah of Kiddush, the Rambam brings down, Mitzvah to say is Kiddush D'Rabbanan, it's Kiddush D'Oraisa, so we assume Kiddush is Mitzvah D'Oraisa. Learn from the pasuk Zachor at Yom HaShabbat L'Kachor. Mitzvah to say Min HaTorah L'Kadesh Yom HaShabbat B'Dvarim. We have to say words. The Rambam, like most Rishonim say, that Kiddush is Mitzvah D'Oraisa. The wine is Midrabanan. Okay? You could fulfill theoretically the Mitzvah of Kiddush even without wine, like we did last year. Remember that? Kibbutz fell on Shabbos. How do we fulfill the mitzvah of the rice of Kiddush? Is it that, huh? We do it. Had to do the mitzvah of Kiddush on Friday night. That wasn't right. So during davening, as we say, when during the tefillah itself, we would announce them. Anyway, we would announce them here. That idea. Okay. Shenemar Zachar Yom Shval Kachol. Klomar. What does that mean?
What about Tisha B'Av? You don't really drink the wine.
No, that's Havdalah.
Right.
No, Tisha B'Av fell on Shabbos this year, but we ate. We made Kiddush on Tisha B'Av. And we even had wine. We had wine. Havdalah, yeah, Havdalah is the same thing. Good point. Havdalah is a machloket of the Doraita, right? Rambam says Kiddush is two parts. B'chnisato, b'tziato. Okay? So according to Rambam, Havdalah is the right, but certainly, again, the cup, sure the wine is Rabbanan. Sure. Okay, even
The one the kid brings, you just have to see the situation of
no, what do you do? Keep when?
No.
You don't? Oh, I'm waiting.
the
9 days.
It's down on this. What's the problem? No, what's the problem? Okay, fine. So he says, Klomar Zachrei Zikrat Shevach v'Kiddush. Remember it as days of praise and Kiddush and sanctification. Okay. The correct word is Shevach. In some printings in the Rambam it says Zikrat Shabbat v'Kiddush, but the proper reading is Shevach. Mitzarech l'Zachrei v'Kiddush, as we mentioned. In the beginning, the Shevach Kiddush. What do we say? So we have it. We praise Hashem for the Kiddush, for the Shabbat. Okay. What's interesting is we'll bring a little bit. There's a long Ramban in this passage. The Ramban actually says that the mitzvah of Zachor is a. Okay.
Just do on live.
What?
You're watching live.
Yeah. The mitzvah of Zachor is really a constant mitzvah that applies throughout the week. For example, we don't count the days. We don't mention days. We don't say Sunday, Monday, or there's a Ramban says Sunday, and all that stuff. We say Hayom Rishon Shabbat, Hayom Sheni Shabbat, and also like. Shama Hazakin, when he bought the food, when he saw nice food in the thing in the market, he said, this is for Shabbat and so forth. So the Ramban says in number 12 over here, he says, listen, Al Derech Hapshat in the Pasuk, Shehi Mitzvah, there's a mitzvah of Zachar Yom Shemot Kasho, Shenizkor Tamid B'chol Yom Et Shabbat. We remember the Shabbat throughout the week as a constant mitzvah. Shalom Nishkacheyu, never forget the Shabbat. V'lo Yitchalef Lo B'Shayamim. We shouldn't get mixed up and think that some of the days are so special like Shabbat. Ki B'Zachrein O Tat Tamid. And here it brings us back to Rosh Hashana. He's Karma Sefer Shit B'Chaleit. Okay? Going back to Brias Ha'olam. What's so special about Shabbos? God created the world. Okay? As we emphasize. Every time, Shabbos is not just one day of the week, it's the focal point of the week. And that is significant in terms of our always remembering. That's so important. As Rabbanim emphasizes, a big yesod in Emunah is this thing of Shabbos, okay? But not just Shabbos as a 24-hour period, but Shabbos is the focus of the entire week, a constant mitzvah of Shabbos. Which is interesting, the Ramban, and bring the whole thing, it's a long one, he says I have Zachor et Yom HaShabbat L'Kadsho. So he says the Kiddush actually is from the word L'Kadsho. The Zachor part is that constant mitzvah that applies all week. Now, okay. On Shabbat, as we see in the next number over here, we say as follows: the Medrash, and this will bring us into another aspect of the importance of Shabbos and the Kiddush of Shabbos. So we saw that the Kiddush of Shabbos is an expression of this elevated Kiddusha, okay? And now we're going to have a second aspect of what the Kiddush does for us. And again, B'ezrat Hashem will bring it full circle. Again, if we're Zocheh, we'll bring it back to Rosh Hashana. Gneva, funny name to have in Amora, or whatever it was, Gneva, Omar is talking about on Shabbos. We're talking about Brias Ha'olam. The world's created in how many days? 6 days, right? 6 days.
Maybe.
No? That's a trick question. It's a trick question. It's a trick question. Because you'll see, the Medrash says not 6 days. You see what I mean? You tell us much about Brias Ha'olam. This is not by Chul. Okay? The world, the king made a chuppah. Everything was red. The chuppah was perfect. Okay? But just missing one thing, one element. Where's the kala? There's no kala for the chuppah. Okay? Comes Shabbat, Ma'ater Kala. Shabbat. The world was missing something. It was missing Shabbat. So what does that mean? The creation was not really, yes, all the actions, or whatever, no, the actions, the whole deep words, I'm saying, but all the creation of the Yesh Mayayin, Yesh Miyesh, all that stuff, it's for 6 days. We were missing something. Without the Menucha of Shabbat, the world is not complete. And there's another, the Rabbanan have a slightly different mashal. They say that the king has a tabat. It was Chaser the Chotam. Of course, a king, there's two kinds of rings. We're learning Mishnah Shabbos. There's a ring that women wear and rings that men wear. Men would wear rings with insignias, right? So this ring didn't have the insignia, didn't have the chaysam. So the world was missing something. So here the mashal is the 6 days is the ring of creation. We didn't have the insignia, you didn't have the thing that drills it in. So we see that there's something about the rest of Shabbos, as in the Menucha of Shabbos, that which Baruch put into the world, that was like the completion. That was the completion of the world. Now, every day, as we know, we're not allowed to get hana from the world without a bracha. So anybody who thinks it's a problem to eat the cake, no, have a big mitzvah. Okay, saying bracha rishona, and the calories are on me. Okay, so we know that partaking from the world requires a matir. If you don't pay for it in a certain way, you're not allowed to take it. As the Gemara says, once you say the bracha, we can take it. If you say you can eat without saying a bracha, the Gemara bracha says ki'ilu ma'al, right? You're misappropriating from Hekdesh. You're taking from God. I have no right to take from it. On Shabbat, because of the fact that Kodesh Baruch Hu gave us this another level of creation, a higher level, perhaps more spiritual level of the Brias Ha'olam, the matir, as it were, what allows us to partake from the world is not enough just to say bracha. We have to have something else that allows us to benefit the world on Shabbat. And that matir, as it were, is kiddush. The kiddush allows us to do it. That's why, for example, the halacha says that you're not allowed to eat before kiddush. What's the idea? What's the thing from eating kiddush? Yeah, we don't eat before any mitzvah. Like, you're not allowed to eat before Spirit Omer and Davening Ma'ariv and all that stuff. Yeah, but for Davening Ma'ariv, Steve's looking at me crazy.
A Sfardim eat before Kiddush a little bit. Or before Motzi, sure.
That's something else. That's after Kiddush, before Motzi, on the morning to get more brachot.
Right.
No, that's legit. No, we make Kiddush.
Make Kiddush, right? Make Kiddush and then we eat and then...
Right, fine, right, for sure. No, but let's say we're in the real Friday night. There's a controversy about Kiddush in the morning. The Rambam says that Kiddush in the morning is also real Kiddush, and you can't eat before Kiddush on Shabbos morning either. And the Rambam says what he's talking about, where you get this idea from, because the Kiddush Rabbis are about Kiddush. It's really harsh Rabbit actually. So if it's a svar, it's a bad svar. Harsher than that. And if it's based on what it says in the Gemara doesn't mean it's asmachta, whatever it is. And he says, what are you talking about? It's not real Kiddush. And apparently the Machlokes is it real Kiddush? No, the Rambam says yes, it is a real Kiddush. It's just that it's only one line of Bar Paragafim. But Friday night you can't eat before Kiddush. The Kiddush is also associated with the Seudah. So you have to have this Kiddush in order to partake. And Soloveitchik explained that it's more than that. The way in which you're creating a matir by creating a Seudah. It's just not like, over here, I just have a plain old Brugelov thing, so I say a bracha, and now it's mine, I eat it as food, it's fun. Of course, I'm Shib Shemayim, so I can have more koach to learn or to drive home or whatever it is. Berurah. There's a whole question, are we really Yotzei Tefillah? Are we really Yotzei Kiddush and Tefillah? Because there's a Gemara in Yitzchok and Kufi Zayin that says you have to mention Yetzias Mitzrayim for Kiddush. So some of the Achronim say, since we don't mention it, if you see Mitzrayim during Shemoneh Esrei, so you can't possibly fulfill your Chiyuv of Kiddush. Others say, some say, like the Rambam doesn't even bring that Gemara down, the halacha. And others say, the Shiur has the whole thing about it as well. You just said Rishamru, or you just said whatever it is. You said Crash a few minutes ago, so maybe that's combined over there. Maybe that counts. But in any case, so the Shiur is talking over there, and he's quoting someone and says, well, when you said it during davening, you didn't have in mind to be Yotzei Kiddush. And Rav Nemsel says, what are you talking about? The Gemara says, you make, just like we say, you make Havdalah during davening, you make Havdalah ala kos. And the same thing, you make Kiddush, not Kiddush kos. Of course you have, who doesn't have kavanah? Everyone has kavanah to be also in the midst of Kiddush when he says Shemoneh Esrei. It says so obvious according to Rav Nemsel. So first of all, let's take the cue and have that in mind. But it seems from the Gemara that's the proper way of doing it. There's the Kiddush of Tefillah and there's the Kiddush ala kos. Why do we need two? Why do we need two? Yeah, so technically speaking, Gran Havdalah, the Gemara talks about that they were rich, they were poor, they could afford wine, they couldn't afford wine, and they just didn't davening, they could afford wine, whatever it is. But in terms of Kiddush, the Rav suggested something very interesting. That there's, since, of course, during the week, I say for a week, on Shabbat, there's a higher level of creation, so we need a higher level of matir, so we have in the davening, we can partake from the world. But then he says a more profound idea, and he says as follows. The Kadosh Baruch Hu gave us all of our kochos, all of our bodies, all of our souls, all everything. If I use my kochos without a matir, as it were, from Hashem, that's also a legal procedure. That's no good. I have to ask Hashem, or be matir, I have to pay, enter, whatever it is, to be able to use my kochos themselves, my body themselves. And this is fulfilled with a double matir. One is the tefillah, and the other is kiddush. And here, this brings us back to Rosh Hashana, because there's a very important message of Rosh Hashana. What?
What causes you matir?
Well, then I can walk, I can talk, I can jump.
So you do bracha just to like.
Yeah, so that has that kind of thing, because it's Hashem's world. He did everything. And that was a suggestion that let's... Yeah. Yes. Okay. And this idea, I think, is a very important message of Rosh Hashana. It brings actually to the culmination of Yom Kippur. We know that in Yom Kippur, in the Ilah, a very dramatic time, we say, as a single tefillos, we talk about Oshek b'yadeinu, Oshek. So that's the biggest chait we did. Oshek, maybe I was a murderer. Where's an Oshek? Then I Oshek is like Oshek's whatever it is. I work on time, whatever else it may be. It's clearly the word Oshek. We say it. It seems to be more generalized. And here also is a thought that Rav Saleh brings in another place, and he says the reason I talk about that is because if I take the kochos Kadosh Baruch Hu gave me and I use them for avera, then I'm totally misappropriating what he gave me kochos for a certain purpose. And if I use them for no good things, then I actually am oshake from Kadosh Baruch Hu. I'm taking away what he gave me for a purpose and using them for other things. I have no right to do it. And this idea of the idea of one of the most important elements, as we say, as we scream out in the Ilah, and we want to come back to Hashem. We say, no, I'm doing tshuva from this oshek. What's this terrible oshek? For using the kochos that you gave me, Hashem, for sin, iniquity, and all those other big words. So if we take the message of, even though Bris Milah and Shabbos is not Rosh Hashanah, but I think if we take the message of two things: the bris that we started at the beginning of the Shiur. We're talking about the bris in Kisav V'Tocha. We're talking about the bris in Nitzavim, in Tem Nitzavim Hayom, is a focus on the day of Rosh Hashanah, and we realize the two mitzvos that emphasize more than others the idea of expressing with others of the Brit and the oath with Milah Shabbos, and we see that these mitzvahs elevate us, and we see that the elevation of the mitzvah Shabbos expresses itself in Kiddush. And we learned that we saw the importance of the Kiddush and the Shabbos in understanding the Zachar Shem Shabbos, in understanding the depth of the Brias Ha'olam, which we commemorate in Rosh Hashana. And it finally brings us to the idea of the Kiddush as a matir, another beautiful, important idea that allows us to reach that level. And we finally mentioned that there's a double matir of a double Kiddush, the Kiddush Davi, the Kiddush Tefillah, bringing us to the level of just to be able to eat and take the world, and then being a man to be able to use our kochos that we have, which is an important message this time for Rosh Hashana. So that's basically what I wanted to say, but I just realized I wanted to say one more thing. That was in the middle, but just to mention something that Rav Shimoni said, just a half a sentence, in the Rambam, source number 10, he quotes the pasuk where he talks about the idea how important Shabbos is, and he says, and he says, Asher enosh yasazo, ubenadam yachzik ba shema shema b'chalalo. Why is he called? Well, first, what does lefichach mean? This, let's say Shabbos wasn't shkul k'nei kol mitzvos. I couldn't say the Navi is mishabeach Asher enosh yasazo to benadam yachzik ba. What's the idea? So here the Rav explained that enosh is on a higher level than Adam. He went from Adam, then he goes to enosh. And as I was looking at this the other day, Rav Shimoni mentioned to me, he said, my grandfather used to say, we say, Ata chaynu lo-adam das, it's a lower level. Das is lower level. The enosh bina. Bina, the higher level, that's associated with enosh. You see the enosh has that level. And this leads us into the next part of the evening, enosh bina. Everyone's invited upstairs to go hang out with their shiur for a while. And great seeing you.